Okay, so here we are. We've had two fantastic short films. We had The Magician and Candle Cops. And yeah, two of our definitely favourite shorts in the selection committee. If you'd like to just introduce yourselves and your role in the film, and we'll go start at this end. Let's go down to the end.
Hi, I'm Sarah Jane Potts, and I wrote The Magician, and I was in The Magician. That sounds wrong. And I directed The Magician.
I'm Elliot Milson. I shot and edited The Magician with Sarah Jane.
I'm Bob Barrett, and I played the magician in The Magician.
I'm Tony Collingwood, and I have this urge to apologise. I made Candle Cops, so yeah, when I made it I didn't expect to be in a cinema, so yeah, anyway, there we are.
I think a world where Candle Cops exists next to The Magician is the kind of world I want to be in.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
very much
So
so.
Right,
you're
yeah.
completely welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's start with The Magician. This film has received, check the notes, 4 nominations. So, actress, supporting actor, short film and cinematography, and also, best of all, I think you've got a cocktail named after your film, so I think that's the great phrase.
That is the best.
Yeah.
That absolutely is the best. That is the best. Can't believe it.
We all really love this film. Sarah Jane, this is the first short film you've made, I understand, as a writer.
Yes, the first anything I've made. Yeah.
Why this story? What inspired you to make this one first?
Lots of different things. I think we were talking earlier, and I'm not exactly sure what inspires us to do exactly what we do, exactly when we do it, but it was a kind of perfect storm of a lot of things that had happened and a situation I found myself in, and having time to write and safety to write, and I was completely on my own because it was in lockdown, so I was very aware of being still, I was very aware of being quiet, and so the more I watched it at the time, I thought I just sort of plopped it out because it was in my head and something I was interested in, but the more I sort of watched it, the more time that's lapsed, I think it was something that sort of had to come out of me about more of a commentary on how much noise there is in the world, and when there's so much noise, there can never really be any authentic witnesses to anything because everyone's so distracted. And also just the power of kindness, and you never know how that's going to affect someone in their day, because we never know what's been happening for them or to them or about them in that time. So that thing about connection, silence and stillness and magic just was like I said, the perfect storm in that moment of me trying to communicate some of those things.
Let's talk about silence, actually. So there's no dialogue in this.
No.
You're a very established actress in your own right. You've been in lots of things we've seen on TV, Holby, Sugar Rush, Kinky Boots, etc. How did the two of you, and obviously Bob, you're in Holby as well, how did you find the challenge of the silence?
Well, it was
no
really
dialogue?
easy, no lines to learn. Lovely. No pressure. No, I'm just really interested in how we communicate without words. I'm very interested in that at the moment, and I think anybody given the space to feel safe enough to try and communicate without words will, if you give them enough time and you make them feel safe enough and you don't rush in to judge or to change or to help. And I knew Bob was going to be great at it. I mean, I just think there are too many words and too much stuff out there anyway, so you strip it all back and just kind of see what you're left with, and he's just all heart as a human walking this earth, and that's what I wanted. I wanted that sort of connection with your real self, which is our young self, which is our self that has no prejudice and no judgment and no unkindness. You know, it's all heart, as we're all born, all heart.
Good way of putting it. Bob, so what kind of challenges did you face?
There's often too many words in cinema. It's often better when it's stripped back. I think if you've been talked to too much, you go, and so I think, and Holby, God bless it, we loved Holby, but they it was a lot of words. It was a lot of dialogue, you know. And often you go, oh, I just wish they strip that back, because actually you should be able to see people communicating without words. And it's a visual medium, really. And I think it was, because when I first read it, and I thought the script was incredible. When I've read it, it was such a relief. Well, you told me already, you said there are no words in it, and I was like, oh, that's great. That's great that there were. Because you don't, if there were, it would detract completely from what the whole thing's about, really, I think, yeah.
Absolutely. So, Elliot, when did you first, how did you first get involved? What's the first thing you were first involved in?
So, I think you just came to me and said, I want to make a short film. And I, being part of the family and into filmmaking, was obviously the cheapest option. So, I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds amazing. And I read the script and was just totally, like Bob said, like taken with it. And I thought, this is going to be I love the fact there was no dialogue again. And I think it's such a visual script because of that. And we were talking earlier about the sort of the visual set pieces that are in the film, and there's like the bit with the umbrella and everything like that, and that was all very much planned from, we did a shot list and discussed a lot of those things, and that was all very much, we were like, SJ was like, yeah, I want it to play out exactly like this, and so a lot of that was prepared, but it was a sort of, the whole process was a mixture of these very planned out set pieces and also just so much magic that happened on the day. Like we were all saying, we just rolled the cameras. The first shot we did in the park was the wide shot, which we keep cutting back to, of the master of the whole scene, and we rolled for like 16 minutes and did the whole, that whole scene was cut down by a couple of minutes, but we just rolled that quite a few times, and just sitting and watching this script that I'd read over and over again and planned out the shot list for just happen in front of me in the park, sitting back there was just amazing. So it's just a great experience, to be honest.
Great stuff. So Tony, to bring you in here. So we always, the last few years obviously, we've had a lot of lockdown films that get submitted, but this one was just so unique. We all thought, this guy has done something with this that was just so, it was obviously DIY, and you just decided one day to do it. And it's one of the best, lockdown kind of projects that we've seen.
Oh,
it's so unique as well. Tell us about how you came up with the idea.
Well, it's not so much about how to make a film in lockdown, it's more about what happens to somebody in lockdown. By trade I'm an animator, so I make animated shows. So messing around with inanimate objects on the kitchen table isn't a big stretch for me. So it was a lockdown thing. What else can I say? It was, by the way, The Magician is so bloody good, isn't it? I mean, it's just the idea of not using dialogue, it just takes the audience into that space. They take a step further into your film. It's just absolutely wonderful. Anyway, I had to say that. Enough about it. So, it was, I just had this image of a candle on a table with all those little things around them that cop shows have. I'm sure real cops do too, the little numbers and everything. And so sometimes the endpoint to a film is an image or an idea. With me, it was just an image of a blown-out candle on a table. And then you'd stop thinking, well, who blew the candle out? Why did they blow that out? And it just expanded from that. And I also had been messing around with nuns for a while, to be honest. Okay.
Rephrase that.
I know. It's don't quote me out of context. But I've been doing some sketches with those nun figurines and putting them on YouTube for family and friends, and maybe unfortunately other people now. But it came out of a whole bunch of stuff I was doing in lockdown, because it was just a release. It was almost like being a student again, because I'd gone into doing TV shows, as these guys have done, where it's every week you're hitting marks and doing stuff. And just to leave all of that and go back to being a student again with an iPhone and a table, and I'll tell you, compared to animation, live action is a piece of, because you just do stuff and stop the camera rolling. You don't have to animate or anything. So for me, it was just a joy. And then when it reached a point where I thought, actually, this is longer than a sketch, then I started to involve people I worked with in the industry, and worked with Roger Jackson, the composer, where it's actually the music on that show and the post is professional against me on a table. So it's a really interesting mix where you're led into a film with, you know, real music, real sound effects, and real cutting and editing and storyboarding, and yet it's like a 14-year-old made it in some respects. So it was a weird kind of combination of things going on. And also, I'm sorry to blast you with so much sound there. It seemed very loud, but especially after you'd just seen a beautiful... but yeah, to answer the question I've forgotten you asked. That's it.
That's okay. I had another question. I remember when I saw this film, and I wrote my notes on the submission platform, I wrote, yeah, it was great, but why were none of the characters called John Wick?
Because it was too obvious. Couldn't do John Wick. There were about 5 obvious puns that everybody said, and they'd go, no, because that's what you immediately say. But the great thing about the filmmaker is you have weeks to think about what you're going to show an audience. And so you're so far ahead of them. Any pun they could think of, you've got so long to go, no, you'd have thought of that. I'm going to think of one for weeks that you wouldn't have thought of. So yeah, that's why there's no John Wick pun or any other snuff puns, anything like that.
You've been an animator for, what, 30 years now?
Yeah.
Who were some of your inspirations?
Bob Godfrey. He did, I'm talking to a generation now, but Rhubarb and Custard. I was sitting at home watching that. I just wanted to be Bob Godfrey. So I saw what he looked like, and I thought, well, actually, a better looking Bob Godfrey. But, no, I ended up working for him as a runner when I was at art college, so my dreams came true when I was about 20, 18, 19, so. But I always knew I was going to do animation. I was always going to make animated films. And so did that, and then just got into candles. So
natural progression.
yeah.
Sarah Jane. So I understand the producer on this film, Joe, your husband.
Yeah.
Please tell me some gossip about that. Does that work? How does that work? Being a married couple making this project.
It's not me, despite the name.
Oh yeah. I should have told that out. We've got a
Yeah.
It's a substitute.
It's great, it's cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love to pay him. This film wouldn't have existed without Joe. I wrote it, and I was just saying in the previous interview, and it was just on my hard drive. And he read it when I came back from Budapest, where I had to spend some lockdown. And said, he did say, I think we should make it. He said, we're going to make this. There's kind of no doubt in his mind. I was the one that kind of went, I don't fucking know how we're going to do that. What are we going to make it? He said, we're going to make it. And it really was completely, if you look at the credits, it's all our family. It's not, we didn't have the financial resources to reach out. And I think that there's something really beautiful about when you pull everything in, and it's people that want to be there because they really believe in the project, and each person believes in what the other person can bring to their role. And so we were all multitasking, we were all doing lots of different jobs, and like we didn't get permits to shoot anywhere, we just did it. And so I didn't have any of those things in my brain of going, no, we can't do that. It was just, well, how do we do that? We bought 2 benches from Amazon, so we could put them in that park and we could move them around in case the light changed, and it was just, you sort of work with what you've got. Like Marcus Marcoux talks about a lot, it's kind of like it was so freeing to not be confined by having to work in somebody else's way, or having to work for, yes, we barely had a budget, but it was really important to us that we paid everyone properly, and that we fed everyone properly, and that we had fun. Because I think a lot of that nowadays, especially from my own experience within mainstream TV and film, it's such a conveyor belt, and it's churning stuff out, and it seems like there's no real quality control, and within that you lose that human control, you lose the human connection of interaction, and a lot of people aren't having a great time. A lot of people aren't being fed very well, and some people really aren't being paid very well. So what is the process, and why are you doing it? So to be able to push forward creatively and and have someone like Joe who's been my champion saying that we will make this and this needs to be made was amazing. So thanks, Lord.
Well done, Joe. Was there any audience questions at this point?
Just very quickly.
Is that the voice of God?
Yes.
Wow.
Hello.
It's literally coming from the light, yeah.
Yeah.
Forgive me, Father.
Elliot.
Yes.
What amazing cinematography.
Thank you very much.
And, you know, obviously you've seen this in a number of formats, but have you seen it on a screen this size? Because, you know, to see it up there on the screen was fantastic. How did that feel to see it?
Totally. This is the first time I've seen it on a screen bigger than a 25-inch monitor that I grade on at home, and it's yeah, and it was honestly incredible. And I was really worried. I was just saying to Joe and SJ just before, for anyone that knows how cinema projectors work, they run off a file called a DCP, which they can play, and it's the format. I've never made one of those before, and the only way to test it is to play it on a cinema projector.
Yes, that's right.
So I was like, is it going to be upside down? But it was fine, and it was just so nice to be able to see it on. I honestly, I'm so hyped from that experience. I can't explain that. You can probably tell it was a very good experience.
And I'd just like to back up what Sarah Jane was saying about Joe being her champion, because I'm telling you now, I don't know how you live with him, because he's on our social media more than anyone else I know of, and he is literally on it all the time. So yes, I will utterly confirm his devotion, and the way he's pushed you and the film has been really good. It's lovely to see. And before I go to, was it you, Carrie? Before I go to Carrie, I'd just like to say, please tell me that was your hand with the nail polish on, Tony.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and my foot. Yeah.
Originally I did have a question for both filmmakers, but you answered my question about having bought the benches from Amazon. I love the framing, and I really was wondering whether it was a happy accident that you just found two benches in that position, but you bought the benches.
No, I found that location, which was really close to where we live, and figured that in terms of the light, it might be somewhere which would give us reasonably consistent light, because the master was so long. We knew we wanted to shoot it in one shot, so it's like a mini play almost. But it was Elliot and Joe that came up with the idea of we need to put benches there anyway, but if we had ones that we could move, then if there was going to be an issue with the light, we could almost chase the light rather than being dictated to by it, so we weren't fucked up by it.
Actually, we had the perfect cloudy day and it stayed like totally consistent. So
Yeah.
It's good, yeah.
Thank you, but my question for Candle Cops is, I have a lot of interest in, I think they're communion candles, or the two religious candles.
They're from Amazon. You can buy them in packs of 6.
Because I was wondering whether they were like laying around your house and whether you would have gotten in trouble for having burnt those, but if they're just like you...
Well, no, I think there were a few candles around, but I don't know, it's just, I ended up buying an awful lot of candles, and also an awful lot of nuns. She's wearing a mask today, which is obviously the only one in the building, I have to say, is wearing a bloody mask, but yeah.
Can you buy those nuns on Amazon?
Sorry?
Can you buy them nuns on Amazon?
Actually, you can get them from, it's a place in Italy that sell religious, they're sending me birthday cards now, they think I'm a church. Seriously, I bought so many of them, I'm getting a tad worried about it. Yeah.
And can we ask the nun, how is it working with Tony?
Joy, an absolute joy. So, yeah.
Oh, I should say, you said that earlier, that those were your voices, weren't they, the nuns?
I did the nuns and the priests, and then a couple of actors did the candle cops. So a couple of Canadian friends of mine who are professional actors. Yeah.
Have you got any questions here?
So basically, watching those two back to back was like watching a Disney Pixar movie and the short right before it. And I've never had a more spectacular experience in my life. Thank you for that. First thing, I was wondering, this is more of a personal question for me, would I be able to get a script or like a copy of The Magician? Because what you were saying about silence and kindness and the sort of situation we're in at the moment really spoke to me just on an individual level, and I really respect your art and your craft, and thank you for bringing that piece of art into the world.
Thank you.
And for oh my god, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Can't you ask me a really sensible, serious
please post that somewhere.
where it
Thank
came
you.
from?
Okay, no. You said you were inspired by sorry, who did you say you were inspired by?
Oh, Bob Godfrey as a kid for animation.
You have inspired me.
Great, wonderful.
I'm thinking of going home and messing with the cutlery. I don't even know.
Yeah.
But thank you both, and is there any form of way people could look at your script in any way? Because again, it was said so much of saying nothing at all.
I don't know, I haven't thought about that. I'll have to have a little think. Not right now. I don't know. I mean, the whole film's on YouTube, so for free for everyone. So you can go on YouTube and put in The Magician 4K, and you can just watch it as many times as you want.
Yeah, I love blur films. I just wanted to say, was Charlie Chaplin and silent black and white films any influence here on
Yes,
The Magician?
definitely.
Must have
Yeah.
been. Because it's
Howard
great
Lloyd and
homage.
Buster Keaton.
Yeah, that's what I thought exactly, because that was a great homage and the originality of the way they've done it and presented it. So,
I love Wes Anderson too. I love a lot of his framing.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
I just wondered which station you filmed the first bit of The Magician at.
Leighton Buzzard. Yeah. And Elliot and I had to spend our time trying to help the guy that was there working at the station be safe in the fact that I wasn't actually going to do anything unsafe. And that shot, which is really interesting, it looks like I'm really, really close, but I really wasn't. I was further away than I am from Bob now, and we were behind a railing.
Apart from the one where the feet are walking towards the platform,
Yeah.
I was just dangling my camera over the edge, and I was like,
Yeah.
it's fine.
So was it on a Sunday?
Yes, it was. Yeah, we shot all the park stuff on a Saturday, and then on Sunday, me and
I forgot it
Elliot
was that way
went
around,
rogue. Yeah.
There were fewer trains on the Sunday. Is that why?
No, that's when there's quite a lot of freight trains.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted something that just looked and sounded really heavy. But there were quite a lot of intercity ones, I think, that day, so we got quite lucky. So we just kind of sit around eating croissants, looking conspicuous, and they go, "There's one coming! Quick, stand up!"
We got through quite a few croissants.
Yeah.
Is there any others? Otherwise, I've got one last question myself. Raise your hand.
Go for it, Peter.
No, I was just going to ask what we're all working on next. Tony, do you want to start first?
Going back to kids' TV, sensible stuff. I'm doing a pilot on a show enthusing children to draw, not teaching them how to draw, but just doing stuff because I draw, so it's all me drawing stories and stuff, doing a pilot on that. It's like watching a football match. You want to be a footballer. They're not showing you how to be a footballer, they're just doing it. So I thought it would be nice just to do it and enthuse kids to draw. So I'm doing a pilot on that right now.
Wonderful. Bob?
The next thing I'll be seen in is another short, which I did after The Magician. It's totally and utterly different in every way, shape and form. It's a thing called The Last Laugh, and it's about the Joker and Batman. And it's...
Can't think which character you might be. I'm not sure you'll make a good Batman. But I'll make a good Batman.
Unless he's gone to seed. So yeah, I played Joker, and it's Joker in prison, and they're old. They're both old. They're both older. So it's they've had a huge. He's been in prison for decades, and Bruce Wayne comes to visit him in prison, and it's about 15-20 minutes short. It will be out soonish, I think. Directed by a guy called David Bisham, who I was at Holby with, who we were all at Holby with. So yes, some more clowns, only in a different way.
Elliot, what are you working on next?
Well, We've actually, funnily enough, for Millpots Productions, we've just finished, well, very, very nearly finished, the second short film, directed by Joe actually this time.
And written by Joe.
And written and directed by Joe, and it's really good. Watch it when it's out. And I'm also working on just generally filming as much as I can. Really, I really like filming. So just all short films that whatever I can get my hands on. Really.
Sarah Jane, are you writing? Have you got things in the drawer to come out at some
Oh,
point?
there's always things in the drawer. Always. It depends whether you want to get them out or not. So yeah, we finished Joe's film, which again was another dare. He dared me to do mine, and I kind of dared him to do his. So he wrote and he's directed his own short film called Care, which is beautiful, with Michael Begley and Michael Maloney, which you're in your final stages of the edit right now, right?
So it will be done on Wednesday.
Amazing. Elliot
Not
was
out on Wednesday.
DOP again, and I was general dog's body for everything, making tea, costumes, art department, the whole thing. Just a glorious experience again. And I've been doing some acting stuff, but Joe and I are in development ourselves together as kind of co-writers, co-directors on our first feature film, which we're hoping has these as our two short films. It is so there's the protagonist from each one that carries forth and they meet in the feature. And what else? Oh, I've got a TV show that I wrote before The Magician that's going to go into development. So yeah, stuff.
So not much then.
No,
Yeah, it's not much.
a few bits, but I like this writer, like production, creative thing. I like it a lot.
It suits you.
It does suit you.
Thank you so much. Both films have been, in their own way, so entertaining, so beautiful, for so many different reasons. Yeah, thank you so much for you for coming and submitting your film, and give a round of applause again.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having us.